Right, so thanks for coming, everyone. It's a really good turnout. Nice to see everyone. So this is going to be a lightning talk. So I'm afraid that means a Scouser speaking very quickly, but we will pretty much fly through this. So the usual blurb, a bit about myself. There's my Twitter handle there. I'm currently working for Ethisys, who are a small Sitecore partner. Go and check us out. Been an MVP for a bit. And you may have seen these things knocking around on the dark internet somewhere. So I've done a couple of Sitecore books, hoping to get the third one done this year. So I thought it'd be good to do a lightning talk just about a similar sort of theme to the book. So just a few tips. So I've got three tips for us today that we're literally going to fly through. Why I like tips so much, it's something that, after we've all listened to this, we can go and take away tomorrow even and apply it into our roles as Sitecore devs or whatever it is we are. So the first one, I don't know if you've heard of HPP, the Helix publishing pipeline. So this was created by Richard. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his surname. Anybody who works with any Helix solutions knows that publishing is a bit of a problem. It takes quite a long time. Historically, we would have been using Gulp, whereas now we've got an alternative. So what I'll do is I'll quickly demonstrate this, show you the benefits of it. To set it up is really quick. You literally install the NuGet package, and then we add a reference. Well, we don't necessarily do this, we just apply auto discovery, which is really simple. So first, let me show you the benefits. So a while back, Richard released some benchmark testing. So previously, Helix Base did use Gulp, and as you can see there, just to get publish all projects was 135 seconds. It's quite a while. What's that?
If you can you hit zoom on the browser?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
There we go. So for anyone who's Jeremy's age, hopefully you can see that. So the publish all projects was the old Gulp task. Obviously, did what it said there. Published all the projects. It takes quite a while. Now, bearing in mind we're doing this every day, that's a lot of time spent. You can see here, the HPP did that in 60 on the first publish. Subsequent publishes, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, whereas you're still wasting quite a bit of time with Gulp. So let me show you this thing in action, and then I'll quickly show you how to set it up. So here's our Helix solution. We've got a website project. I've previously published, so now if I hit the publish button now, that's it, done. That is the Helix solution in its entirety published. Now, I'm sort of cheating there because obviously I've previously published, and you can see the app pool doesn't recycle because it's checking the diff, it's seeing which binaries have changed and whatnot. If we were to change a binary, I could promise you it's still very quick. So the setup, I really would recommend this for anybody who's working with any form of Helix solution. So you can see I've got a reference, as it said, to the NuGet package. And then the auto discovery then that we mentioned before. So obviously Helix is usually in layers, follows common closure. So this is the auto discovery that's mentioned on the GitHub for this. So it's literally just where the project's going to live. It automatically adds this props file, so it automatically adds the auto discovery for us. We've also got a targets file. Now why this is interesting, enable auto publish is true. Now previously this might have been a greedy operation, but basically every time you build the solution it will auto publish, which again is a pretty useful tool, and again it's really quick. It ships with the local publish profile and a package publish profile. Now what's really interesting about this is this here. Now what this is doing is obviously, in the web root we might rename DLLs or configs or whatever it is. What Richard has added to this is it will actually clean out the web root locally for us, so anything that matches our assembly name that we've used here will be deleted before a publish. So again, it's a really useful feature. And then finally on this, we've also got the package profile that you might use in your deployment pipeline. And what's so good about this one is it auto packages our unicorn files for us, so that all takes place as part of the build. And then we've got target path here, which is app data unicorn. Sorry, Jeremy, do you want me to zoom in? I will do for the next. So in a nutshell, that is HPP. And again, if you're working with Helix, I would very much recommend that one. Okay, next. So next up for you, I think the third tip's the most exciting one, so again I'm going to fly through this. So I don't know if anybody is using this extension, but it's called Sitecore Extensions. It's available for Chrome, Firefox and Opera. Set up, literally just install it, add it to the browser. I'll show you why this is such a good tool. Now there's one feature alone that I think is worth it. Again, if you're working in Helix, you might be trying to find a field in the templates and it's squirreled away on an interface template somewhere. So this gives us the option just to go to field. It takes a little bit of a while to execute, but then you probably spend longer looking for the template. Now while it's doing that, let me show you some of the options we've got to us. So under modules, another decent thing, another aspect that's worth mentioning on this is the colour mapping. So you can see there, we've got the database name web mapped to the red colour. Now what that means is, that's still loading, it's taking its time. So yeah, I mean it takes a while. I think it's only on the first execution to find where that field is, but there you go. What it does is it just goes to the title. That's the field that I clicked on, so it just zeroes in on that template field and takes us straight there. Now the colour switch. Again, it's a pretty useful tool. In desktop mode, you can see at the top there anyway, we're on the master database at the moment. I've not applied any sort of colour profile to that, so it's in the sort of vanilla Sitecore colours. But we have applied a colour to the web database. So basically what that will do is once this resolves, there we go, when I switch to the web database, it's just fairly obvious. So it's a nice visual indicator to let us know where we are. Alright, so the final tip then, I think is quite an interesting one. Now, I don't know how many people are using Glass, but for quite a lot of us, it's one of the first things we install when working with the Sitecore platform. Now what Mike did is, I spoke to him quite recently actually, and he went ahead and created a GitHub to do with the speed of Glass. There's a lot of sort of misconceptions out there regarding the speed of Glass. So a GitHub is being created, and on this source is comparing the speeds of the most popular ORMs, that's Fortis, Synthesis, Glass API, the Sitecore API itself, and then obviously we've got Glass on there. So the results, something very interesting about this one, Glass can actually be faster than the Sitecore API. Now, I know that's hard to believe, so seeing is believing. Let me show you and then I'll explain what is going on under the hood and why it's actually quicker on some cases. Right, so what we've got, here's the test results. Let me just show you what's in the Sitecore instance. So we've got some very basic Sitecore items. So if we look at this render fields item, for example, it's got single line text, an image, it's got a tree, and some rich text, and some data. Now what this test does, it compares the mapping speeds based on these different frameworks. So let's have a look at the results. So if I'm to call this render fields item, for example, here's the results in. So Sitecore takes about half a second for Glass, quicker than the Sitecore API. I'll explain why shortly. Fortis, slightly quicker than the Sitecore API, and Synthesis again is, slightly slower, and Synthesis slightly slower again. Now the reason for this, Glass doesn't always call the render field pipeline, whereas Sitecore for every field calls the render field pipeline, which is quite a greedy pipeline. Glass only calls it for rich text fields. So because for this, we're not mapping only rich text fields alone, it's actually quicker than the Sitecore API. Glass is a true ORM as well. It creates proxy classes, it maps the data to these proxy classes, which are completely Sitecore agnostic, whereas the likes of Fortis and Synthesis, I believe, are wrappers for the Sitecore API. So this is why Glass on certain use cases can actually be quicker. So just to execute another test, this will be something that we do daily, retrieving an item and retrieving the child items from this parent. So again, it's exactly the same template. And if I were to run this test, we'll see the speed results come in again. Now I think the second time we would run this, you might even see some further performance enhancements as the likes of caching kicks in, obviously. But there we go. So we run the children with fields test. 7.5 seconds for the Sitecore API. Glass is significantly quicker, and I assume most of the items you're returning are going to have some children. 2.5 there and thereabouts for Fortis and for Synthesis. So once again, in this situation, Glass is actually faster than the Sitecore API. As I say, there's a lot of information out there, blog posts, which have produced tests for the likes of Glass that you'll see where they're saying it's quite a lot slower. They're actually not accurate tests or unfair tests, and you can see the code that is behind this. I'll very, very quickly show you that. So if we look at the children with fields, for example, it's in a loop, so it's happening 1,000 times. We're getting the page with the children, and then we're just mapping the children. So it's quite a simple test. Obviously, just to get an idea of the speed, it's in a loop that's taken place 1,000 times. So the very final thing I will take you through is just another Glass tip, I suppose, while we've got Glass open. This I'll just use Helix base. Now I don't know if many are using Glass HTML to render fields, but something that I only became aware of during the Glass training was that we can actually add a second lambda expression. In the Glass HTML field. Now if I were to publish this...
You need to make that bigger if you want me to
Oh,
read it.
alright. You can read it then. He's just being awkward. Yeah, so the second lambda expression will be what is rendered on the page. Oh,
Missed the comma.
I have. When we are not in experience editor mode. So there we go. Let's render this. Let's publish this, sorry. And then when we go to Helix space here, this should happen quite quickly, the publish, because we're on HPP. Yes. What have I missed? Let's have a look. Publish that. Alright, well someone didn't pray to the demo gods, but what this would do is, obviously if we're in experience editor mode, it will just render whatever is on the first lambda expression, and this would have been the preview where you just would have saw the field populated. So with that, I'm going to go to my last slide, which is a treat for you all. So Mike has very kindly, for anybody who wants to look at the Glass online training program, he's provided a promo code which is for the first 50 subscriptions. So if anybody wants to jot it down or take a picture of that, then they're more than welcome. And that is Lightning Talk complete in time. So any questions?
How much is Mike paying for the
Yeah.
the promo?
No, personally, I've just always used Glass as an RM, really, so become involved in seeing what's going on under the hood and those kind of things. And I found that the speed comparison is quite interesting actually as well. Obviously what we want to know about performance of the frameworks that we're using, and yeah.
The last tip you showed us with the rendering experience editor, is that only in Glass 5 and above?
I think it is actually, yeah. I think it's only V5. I don't think that was in earlier versions.
Right, okay.
I'd have to double check that one, but yeah, I think that probably is a new.
You're not come
new
across that
edition.
one before?
No, I haven't. Yeah.
Coming back to the first tool that you presented, does it decrease the performance if you have multiple or plenty of Helix projects and you want to publish them all together?
HPP?
Yeah.
Well, it was designed with that in mind, so it's an extension of MS Build rather than Gulp. So obviously Gulp, if we trigger the publish all, or I know you can do it by layer, it would take quite a long time. So obviously the more you add, the longer it takes. HPP, you'll see the performance is a lot quicker, but then again, if you only change code in one of those projects, then you'll see that it'll pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think I haven't tried this myself. I've read a few things about it, and I think the fundamental difference is that when the build process that uses Gulp just blindly triggers MS Build for every project that you've got, and it doesn't understand the idea that you might not need to build them, or that they might have dependency orders that mean you build one and then 3 further down it builds it again because it's a dependency of the one at the bottom. Whereas I think what they've tried to do with this thing is give MS Build the intelligence back to understand these dependencies. Sorry?
Delta bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And understanding ordering and things like that. So that it's not just blindly building every project you have. It's applying the same sort of intelligence that you'd get if you asked Visual Studio to build your project, but it can do it from a...
Yeah, and obviously that will recycle the app goal as well, so Gulp, it'll always recycle, but with HTTP it won't necessarily always recycle the app goal if it's just content items or something like that. Yeah. Great. Anything else? Thanks everyone. Cheers.